welcome to another video on the XKR repair. In this video we're going to go through looking at this wing. As shown in the previous videos, we've got some rust on the outside caused by these three bolts going into riv nuts. They've snapped off. The outside does have some rust here and here, so we're going to clean that back to make sure we can just repair that. Otherwise we're going to have to cut it out and replace it. But the most important point here is these two holes just here and here. They're very important in the positioning or the final positioning of the wing itself. So I discussed a number of ways of doing it in earlier videos. What I've decided to do is to effectively replace this piece in here. Now the way I'm going to do that is to make up a new one using a template. Just cut out a new piece, but I'm going to change half of it at a time. So I'm going to change half of it, weld that in, and then once that's in, cut out the other half and weld that in. And what that will mean is that this vertical piece doesn't move and maintains the relationship to the rest of the wing, which is very important. So I'm just going to clean off here so I can see what it's like underneath that, whether or not we need to replace those. Cut out some pieces here too. Okay, so what I can see is there's nothing here, or here, or here. But as soon as you get round on this horizontal lip, you get all the corrosion and stuff. So we're not going to cut out any of this. We'll now need a little skim of tiny skim of filler on there and there and there. So here you go. Just made a cardboard cutout. Fits in there quite well. So now we'll go and make a steel version of it. So here's the new plate I've put in. Put a couple of creases in here because if you look at the original, it had a couple of strengthening bends into it. So I've done the same. We do have a little bit of gap between the edge of the wing, because obviously we're going to cut the wing and this is going to sit at the same level, so it needs to go into that area. So yeah, from above we've just got a little bit of gap all the way round. I've also put this lip in here as there was a piece there as the original. And at the very end here, I've decided I'm not gonna go and try and get into that little piece at the end there, but I'm going to cut it off just past this hole. So yeah, we will have a piece there to weld in, but that's fine. So yeah, now I've got to do is make sure I can get those three holes. This one, and this one. You can see these were captive nuts. So yeah, where I ground them down because I needed it to be flat so that when it was sitting on there, it actually fell into place properly. It was being held up out of the way. I've also taken some measurements from like this point here to this point here, and there to there, and a few other places like this tip here to this tip here. So hopefully we can cross check. So here's one metal panel. I will use this as a template for the other side because it's the same thing, except obviously that would bend downwards and these are in the other way too. But effectively that's what we're going to do. Can make another one of these and then cut out half of it, weld in the bottom half. Once that's all in and check the measurements, etc., then we'll cut the top half, the rest of it out, weld that one in. Okay, so you can see here I've cut along here. I cut that way because there was no way I could get a cut across this way without cutting into here, which I didn't want to do. So I've then got my piece of metal and cut that to length as well, and so that just fits in there like, oh, all things moving. That fits very gently in there like that. So that fits in there without putting any, with hardly the slightest of pressure on anything. So hopefully things won't move. You know, it's still pretty, you know, it still will move, but it's as close as we're going to get. So I'll tack that in, then I'll take those measurements again, make sure everything's in the right place, and we'll go from there. I will have to clean up along here though first, so I'll do that and then get on with it. So here we have it. We've got the first piece welded in. What we're going to do now, we have cut this back a little bit because it's right on this edge. So we're going to need a little bit of filler on this edge once we've finished, but nothing too drastic. Yeah, so now we're going to do the same thing here and here. I have measured the points that I had, and they're still in the same location, so that's all good. So here you go. All of this bit has been replaced. The measurements I took from here and from here are the same. The only challenge I do have is when I started to cut in here, I think there was some rust right in the right in the point of the bend, so I had to cut some of that out. So we're possibly, you know, a millimetre or two low along this edge, and we, you know, we've left it sharp at the moment, welded in inside as well. So yeah, that'll need some more work to finish, but the main thing is all of that rotten rusty old metal is gone. Once I cut these out, I also marked up where the holes were and drilled through some, I think these are about 7mm or something, drilled through those. So yeah, I know where to put the riv nuts. Haven't got any yet, got to order some. So yeah, that's where we are. I've got to do the other one now. I may well do the same again, exactly the same. It's always good to try and repeat what you've done on the other side exactly the same. The only thing is whether or not I do cut any out of here. It does go down a bit towards the centre here. Yeah, I'm not sure about that. I'll have a think about it and do the next one. Okay, so this is the other side. This does seem to have a bit more rust on this edge. There's some bubbling there, and there, and there. Obviously you've got this bit here, but that's not really a problem, but it is, yeah, the fact that these have gone all rusty. And what does it look like inside? 1 second. You can see from the inside there's a fair amount of rust there. The problem is whether it's right on this. You can see that there's a bubble there. Where it's right on the inside, that means I have to cut all of that off. What I'll probably end up doing is one of two things. I'll either cut it further in from the edge and replace that much of it, but that does depend on whether or not that inside is cleanable. So what I'll do is I'll cut it back and then clean it up on the inside and see if we can get rid of all the rust. If we can do that, then that's fine, and we'll keep this. That means we'll keep this outer edge. Obviously we've got to polish up that anyway, but we can do that, of course. There's a couple of other bits here too. Look, this is right on the top of the wheel arch. Obviously we've got to do something about that. These right back here. Focus right back here. There is a little bit. We'll certainly clean all that off and then make sure it's protected. But I don't think that needs replacing. Bits around on the arch that I don't think you can straighten that out and One thing I did notice that none of these had the plastic plugs that go between, that hold the inner wheel arch protector. So I'll definitely get some of those. But we'll clean all that up and put some paint on it. That's fine. This, I think that'll be just grind it all off, put some rust preventer on it, and that'll be okay. I don't think I'll need to cut that out. We'll grind it back and see how far it goes back. So yeah, again, this bit of a clean up here. So yeah, let's do very similar to what we did before. Make a template, cut out half of it, weld in a replacement, make sure this stays in the same position relative to the wing, and ideally keep this edge as nice as we can. So this is what I did on this side. I actually only changed this lower half. I did cut that diagonal again, so that, because obviously I wasn't going to cut it in half and put in a piece at that end. So I've actually just done the bottom half, that's all. And I also did a cut and butt, so actually rather than right on this edge, I cut it back about here, something along these lines. I put the piece on top and then, did a cut and butt type join of it. So yeah, and you can still see just about some spot welds there. So welded along here, put this piece in. This is all new. If we look at this piece, that was nowhere near as bad as the other piece. So yeah, this is the piece from the other side, which you can see is way worse than this side. So I thought it wasn't really worth going through all that effort. I may still have to just put in some little squares maybe around these two holes. Yeah, just that hole and this hole, just to get the riv nuts in. But obviously this one I need to make bigger. But depending on what size the riv nuts need, I could either, like I say, just put in we could easily just put potentially you could even put a plate underneath it, but yeah, we'll face that when we come to it. Once there, I'll have to order some. I did actually clean back all of this. We do have some deeper ingrained rust here, and on this bit here, I think I went up here. So what I'll do is I'm going to put some rust converter on there. Don't think it's significant enough to change, to cut out and replace. Let me know what you think in the comments. So yeah, that's it for this video. We've done both sides. I'll just put some primer on it to stop the flash rust, and yeah, we'll go from there.